this might sound crazy at first, but God gave me a very powerful revelation about how in certain circumstances we need to stop testing his strength. Now, in Matthew chapter 4, we see Jesus, he's in the wilderness and he's being tempted by the devil, right? And it gives us three temptations that he got tempted with, right? We're going to talk about the second temptation, right? And it says here in Matthew chapter 4 from verse 5, then the devil took Jesus to the holy city and set him on to stand on the highest point of the temple. He said, if you are truly the Son of God, throw yourself down from this temple, for it is written, God will command, the Father will command his angels concerning you. They will lift you up in their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. But Jesus said to him, do not put the Lord your God to the test. Now, remember, I started this video off saying how we need to stop testing the Lord's strength, right? I'm not talking about, testing him concerning your finances, like, God, I know you got me, or testing him concerning, like, sometimes as a kid, or I do this now, like, God, don't let it rain, God this, God that. That's not what I'm talking about. You can definitely step out on faith and test God, say, God, I know you're real, yada, yada, yada. God showed me another version of how we do this, right, in a way that he does not support, right? Now, I want you to see here that the devil was testing. He was trying to get Jesus to test the strength of God, right? He's saying he brought Jesus to a high mountain. He said, or a high temple, the highest point of the temple, right? He said, throw yourself down, fall down. God gonna get you. He gonna have you, right? So how does this relate to us? As we get closer and closer to God, right, in this walk with Christ, God begins to give us his strength, right? So the things that you used to fall to, right, you might not fall to, or you may not fall to as much because you have a certain level of strength, but that strength is not yours. That strength is God's. But sometimes we forget that the strength that we have in us is not ours and it's God's. And what we do is we begin to test that strength, right? So what happens is, let's say you had a drinking problem, right? You had a drinking problem and you start getting closer to God, and now it's like you barely even like drinking. Now it's like drinking is barely even a problem now. Barely, right? Because you have so much strength from God, right? So what happens is sometimes we forget that the strength that we have from God is not ours and it's actually God's, and we go close to the edge of sin. So let's say your friends invite you to a party and everybody's just drinking, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to go to this party because I know now that I have enough strength to not drink. So I'm just going to go, right? So you go to the party, and what happens is you find yourself on the edge of sin, the edge, right? And just like how the devil brought Jesus to the edge of the temple and he said, fall down, God got you. We do the same thing with God's strength. We go to the edge of that sin, the edge of that strength that he's given us. And we're like, oh yeah, I'm straight because God got me. No, we have to stop testing his strength and going to the edge. And we do this in every other faculty of life, including myself. Going to a person's room at a time where you know that if you went at this time, you'd be testing God's strength. Watching certain things where like, okay, I'm testing God's strength. Doing this and doing that, talking to certain, getting to relationships where you're like, okay, I'm definitely testing God's strength. We have to stop testing his strength, because you know what would have happened if Jesus would have fell off that temple? Because God never told Jesus, go to the top of the temple and fall off. The devil told him to do that, right? So what would have happened was God would have sat there like this. Because I never told, well, I don't know if he would have let Jesus die. That's crazy. But assuming, right? Assuming, he would have been like, I never told you to do that. And that's how we find ourselves in sticky situations, because we keep going to the edge of that temple, the edge of these evil temptations that we see and we don't run from because we have so much strength from God. We have to stop testing the Lord's strength, not outwardly where we're talking about, like he got my finances, he got this, he got that. I'm talking about where you're testing him on the edge of sin.